The insect mother explodes, not only destroying the space, but also destroying various restrictions. The Dragon Clan originally sealed off the space to prevent the Zerg from escaping, but now they are all destroyed by the self-destruction of the Zerg mother. The self-destruction of the Holy Lord triggered a riot in the deep space. Even the Holy Lord could not resist this riot. The first one to be involved was the nearest Holy Light, and the second one was Lin Moyu, who deliberately leaned over. Lin Moyu has experienced deep space riots, and since he controls the laws of space, he knows how to deal with it. The law of space is fully activated, coupled with the effect of the three-light talisman, forming a weak power of space and time, giving Lin Moyu room to move in the space riot. The holy light has been swept away by the space riot, and the huge body is rolling in turbulence, temporarily losing control. Lin Moyu came to him. There was a huge difference in body shape between the two. Lin Moyu used all his strength to transform into a giant hand and firmly grasp the holy light. Walk! With a loud shout, the law exploded with all its strength, and he threw the holy light out of the deep space of violence. At the same time, he took a few steps to escape from the riot. Lin Moyu did not stop. He rushed to another place and pulled back several other elemental dragons that were involved in the space riot. Fortunately, the elemental dragons were far away at the time, and later they escaped quickly enough, so the number of unlucky people involved in the space riot was not many. Holy Light stabilized his body and watched Lin Moyu pull back the elemental dragons. He knew that there was a high probability that he would not die after being involved in a space riot, but he didn't know where he would end up. You can come to the edge of the world and be millions of light years away. He is a saint and may be able to return. But once those gods lose their way, it might take thousands of years to come back. Although Lin Moyu's move was not a life-saving grace, at least it helped them. Coupled with the previous help of the soul-fixing talisman, the elemental dragons all cast a kind look on Lin Moyu. At least they recognized Lin Moyu. The aftermath of the explosion of the Holy Lord is gradually disappearing, and the fragmented space is being repaired, but the repair speed is a bit slow and will take a lot of time. The entire starry sky is still in a state of chaos, with space turbulence and space cracks everywhere. If a weak god comes here, he will most likely be affected or even injured. The Holy Light's body shone brightly, and in the light, his body quickly shrank and finally turned into a human appearance. Lin Moyu was a little curious as to why Holy Light turned into a human being. And how he did it was obviously not the first time. The whole process was very skillful and natural. Even after turning into human form, he had already put on clothes. Even if he himself can change, his clothes cannot. The clothes fit well, as if they were tailor-made, and are gorgeous, with a large number of sacred dragon patterns embroidered on them, as if to highlight his identity. The incarnated Holy Light is handsome and tall, reaching 2 meters in height. Except for a pair of dragon horns on the top of his head, everything about his body looks like a human race. Lin Moyu looked at Xingguang with a strange look, and Xingguang smiled and said, "Don't be surprised, maybe you will understand in the future." Obviously, it was something that couldn't be said, and Lin Moyu didn't bother to ask. Ever since he knew that the Dragon Clan was not a native creature of the big world, Lin Moyu had many speculations about the origin of the Dragon Clan. The most likely scenario is that the Dragon Clan, like the Zerg clan, comes from the outside world, and it is not a world that has been conquered by the big world. I just don't know what kind of identity they came to the big world. For so many years of existence, the Dragon Clan seems to have been watching the show and watching the development of the big world. Lin Moyu had tested the Holy Light before, and through indirect inquiries, he got some information to support his guess. Now he asked again, "Senior Holy Light, what is the outside world like?" The Holy Light, who transformed into a human, waved his hand. "Don't call me Senior, I think you are pleasing to the eye. According to the words of our Dragon Clan, you are very suitable to me. We are brothers. If you don't mind, just call me brother." Lin Moyu immediately changed his words, "Brother Xingguang." Xingguang laughed loudly. "Okay, Brother Moyu, I can't tell you the question you just asked. If you want to know, go out and see for yourself. I believe you, there must be a way. It really doesn't work, wait until I become a dragon, and you still have. Shen Guang did not continue, but gave Lin Moyu a wink. Lin Moyu understood instantly and knew that holy light must also be subject to many restrictions, and some words cannot be passed. However, a lot of information has been revealed from his words. First of all, it was to confirm my guess. The dragons did come from the outside world, and they had their own purposes in coming to this world. And Xingguang believes that he can go out. Even if he can't go out, when he becomes a real dragon, he will still have a way to take him out. Moreover, the holy light also mentioned Antares in a subtle way. There is no need to name him, Lin Moyu will understand just by looking at him. What holy light means is that with Antares here, Lin Moyu doesn't need to worry about whether he can go out. Lin Moyu looked at the more than 10,000 elemental dragons around him and asked, "Can all dragons turn into humans?" Shen Guang shook his head, "At least you have to reach the Saint Realm." Lin Moyu understood again, the holy light is surrounded by the power of rules, and its transformation into human form is also related to the power of rules. Moreover, the power of rules cannot be too weak, and the other side realm is not enough. It must be supreme. The power of the rules of the holy light body flows, forming a barrier silently, making it impossible for them to spread to the outside world. Silent brother, listen to what I said, there is no hope. You still have to make plans as early as possible. Lin Moyu's brows twitched slightly, pretending not to know. Why did Jiao Lily say that? Holy Light lowered his voice. I can't tell you the specific reason. What I can tell you is that this world has lost its future. In 1,400 years at most, the world will face a crisis of annihilation. You have to cultivate to the other side realm as soon as possible. I will calculate the time and I will almost be promoted by then. Even if that person doesn't come out by then, I can take you away. 1400, isn't that the time when another world collides with the big world? The Dragon Clan actually knew about this. Obviously, the Dragon Clan knew far more than they imagined. Lin Moyu asked, is it only 1,400 years? Xingguang said, yes, it will take 1,400 years to survive. No matter what method is used, we must reach the other side within 1,400 years. With the speed of your cultivation, brother, it shouldn't be a problem with money. Lin Moyu is very fast, far beyond the knowledge of everyone in the big world. Anyone who knows Lin Moyu's age will be extremely shocked. Xingguang knew Lin Moyu's training time, but he was only slightly surprised. It seems that he is not unacceptable to Lin Moyu's cultivation speed. At the same time, from his words, Lin Moyu felt that it did not seem unacceptable to spend 1,400 years cultivating from a god to the other side. If others heard this, they would definitely find it bizarre. Who can cultivate from god to the other side in a little more than 1,000 years? Is the cultivation speed in the Dragon Clan so fast? Lin Moyu thought in his heart and continued to ask, but there are several saints in our human race. Is there nothing they can do? Xingguang shook his head. Holy Lord is useless, everyone will die when the time comes, and no one can escape the tiger. This world will be destroyed. Except for a few people, everyone in this world will not survive. Holy Light has already sentenced the world to death in his heart. There will be no hope for the world and everything will end. By then, except for a few people, everything in the big world will perish. Regardless of human race or other races. Whether it is a god or a saint. Everything in the big world will be erased. The few people he mentioned were those who had obtained the Dragon Soul Crystal. From the 3-color Dragon Soul Crystal to the 9-color Dragon Soul Crystal, anyone who has obtained the Dragon Soul Crystal is recognized by the Dragon Clan. At that time, they will be qualified to live, while others can only wait to die. Lin Moyu asked him if there was still a chance to save the world, and Xingguang gave an unequivocal answer, no chance. Lin Moyu did not refute. He knew that Holy Light was not talking nonsense, but from his perspective, because the world had no future. Still wanting to get more information from Holy Light began to remain silent. He has said enough and can say no more. In fact, he shouldn't even say these words. He is willing to tell Lin Moyu mainly because Lin Moyu suits his taste and is bound to be a limiting factor. The Holy Light once again told Lin Moyu to reach the other shore within 1,400 years before leaving with the Dragon Clan. Watching them disappear into the starry sky, Lin Moyu stood there with twinkling eyes and murmured to himself, "Brother Holy Light, you don't know all of part 933. Someone once predicted the future of the big world and made arrangements. That is a person who even Tianzuan is afraid of. He said that the world still has a future." In addition, Lin Moyu has another sentence in his heart, "I also think that the world has a future." His belief is extremely firm and he does not believe that the heavenly world will inevitably be destroyed. There is no perfect road for man, and there is only a glimmer of hope. Lin Moyu believes that there is a turning point in everything, it just depends on whether he can find this turning point. The battleship was summoned again. During the previous collision, many cracks appeared on the surface of the battleship. Fortunately, the internal formation was not affected. Warships can still sail in deep space, and there is no impact on their use. Lin Moyu summoned a set of talisman arrays from the treasure ship warehouse, which were exactly the talisman arrays he had drawn before to refine the rune magic weapon. The flames burned brightly in the center of the talisman array, and Lin Moyu used it to envelope the battleship. Then he began to draw a large number of runes to strengthen the battleship. He has experience in repairing and strengthening golden swords, and now he is strengthening and repairing warships. Lin Moyu's techniques are much more proficient than before. Runes flew out one by one and landed on the battleship, and then passed through the weapon refining fire of the rune array to brand the runes into the battleship. There was originally a formation on the shell of the battleship. This formation was arranged by Yin Lao, and its defensive power was not very strong. Now Lin Moyu has added a new talisman array to the original formation. The combination of the two formations directly raised the battleship's defense to a higher level. Even if it is attacked by the other shore realm, the battleship can at least hold on for a few times, giving Lin Moyu enough time to put it away. For now, this battleship is still very useful. It should be said that the space formation in the battleship is very useful. Lin Moyu relies on his own space laws. Although he can enter deep space, he does not yet have the ability to sail quickly in deep space. If he waits until his space law becomes stronger, not to mention being able to use the space gate, but wait until he can move freely in deep space, he can eliminate this battleship. The battleship became Lin Moyu's second rune magic weapon. Lin Moyu put a shell on it and it was considered a semi-finished product. After it was finished, the battleship was covered with runes and looked a little heavier. Start again, enter the deep space, and fly towards the space within the domain. This trip to extraterritorial space was a complete success for Lin Moyu. He was originally worried about whether the Red Star Supreme would be willing to take action, but the Red Star Supreme was not only willing, but also told about the 10,000 stars formation. Later, I met the Dragon Clan and learned some secrets. The secrets of the big world seem to have exposed the tip of the iceberg again. The next step is to practice hard and improve your cultivation as much as possible. In 1,400 years, we must not only reach the other shore realm, but also reach the Holy Lord realm as much as possible. If my talent has not weakened, maybe I can challenge the Supreme, and that way I can share some of the pressure. There is a huge gap between the Holy Master and the Supreme Master, and Lin Moyu doesn't know if he will be able to cross the border and challenge the Supreme Master after he reaches the Supreme Master. Maybe it works, maybe it doesn't work, no matter what, you have to try it to find out. In fact, Lin Moyu has another plan, but this plan cannot be carried out yet. If the plan succeeds, then not only will the big world not perish, but it will even have the opportunity to devour that world, plunder its origins, and find opportunities to build a new divine path. It's just that now, that plan is still very early, at least until he reaches the other side. In addition to practicing, there are also some backups that need to be prepared. In case the Red Star Supreme is wrong, there are more than 10 Supremes in that world. Or if the effect of the 10,000 stars formation is not good, we must have backups to deal with it. Lin Moyu thinks a lot and cannot put eggs in one basket. As the space within the domain gets closer and closer, the law of starlight begins to become active. The starlight refining method began to operate again, refining starlight and condensing stars. The stars illuminate the soul, making the prototype of the world of rules more complete and powerful. When the world of rules is actually built in the future, there will be a higher probability of building a world of perfect levels of rules. The world of perfect levels of rules is one of the foundations for promotion to Heavenly Lord. If even the world of rules cannot reach the level of perfection, the Holy Lord will not even think about it. Even if he understands the reality clearly and sees the nature of the world, there is no hope. The mysterious master told Lin Moyu that building a perfect world of rules is very important and cannot be ignored. Lin Moyu had already somewhat understood the true function of the world tree fruit at this time. It allows people to give birth to the prototype of the world of rules in the realm of gods, and allows people to come into contact with the world of rules at an earlier age and improve and strengthen the world of rules. Lay a solid foundation for building a world of rules in the future. With the prototype of the world of rules, the door to the Holy Lord has been opened. As long as you don't go too far, entering the Holy Lord is a sure thing. It's a pity that the fruits of the world tree mature too slowly, and so far only one has been eaten by myself. Lin Moyu looked at his soul world and already had some ideas about the world he wanted to build in the future. As our horizons continue to expand and improve, our ideas about the world of rules are also constantly changing and improving. At first, he just used the law of immortality to build a gray and white world with half rules of life and death. Later, when he realized the reality and virtuality and saw the real world, he felt that he should add the characteristics of virtuality and reality to the world of rules. After receiving the inheritance from the Holy Talisman Heavenly Lord, he wanted to add various runes to the rules world to use it to evolve into countless possibilities. Now that he has seen the boundary sea again, he has a new understanding of his own world of rules. Lin Moyu feels that he is a little too ambitious and a little unrealistic. But the experience of Jiahai in just a few minutes kept coming back to him, making him feel that he had to do this. He even came up with an even more absurd idea. Maybe the world of rules is more than perfect. He feels that there may be a higher level of existence in the world of rules. Since it is a human-defined world rule, why can't you define it yourself? Just as he was thinking about it, calls came to the battleship. If you fight 100 battles and die, you will never repent, and your soul will never rest in peace when you return to the old land. The sound is tragic and shocking. The battleship's runes shone brightly, and its speed became slower and slower. The tragic sound disturbed the space, and the entire space turned into a sticky mess, making it difficult for the battleship to fly. Lin Moyu was awakened, and he felt an indescribable sadness. It's not just sadness, there is also heavy pain and sadness. That kind of pain is like someone grabbing your heart and making it unable to beat. Although not as painful as the soul, it is more painful. What happened? Lin Moyu controls the battleship and escapes from deep space. The battleship floated, and Lin Moyu saw a high mountain. He was the king of the mountain forest. The mountains are more than 1,000,000 kilometers high, and with Lin Moyu's eyesight, he can't even see them all at a glance. The appearance of mountains in the starry sky is an unimaginable and bizarre thing. Lin Moyu controlled the battleship to fly to the top of the mountain, but the battleship could never fly to the real top. Every time I was about to cross the top of the mountain, I was blocked by an invisible force. This power seems to be a formation, but it is different from the formation. Lin Moyu was somewhat familiar with this feeling. After thinking about it for a moment, he knew where he had entered. He entered a world of rules. The border that you touch is the edge of the world of rules, a world barrier, also called a world barrier. With his current ability, it is difficult to break through. Is it the world of rules of the Holy Lord, or the world of rules of the Supreme? Lin Moyu thought in his heart, if it was the world of the Holy Lord's rules, it would be okay, but if it were the Supreme Lord's, then the trouble would be much greater. You will fight 100 battles and die without regrets, but your soul will never rest in peace when you return to your homeland. You will fight 100 battles and die without regrets, but your soul will never rest in peace when you return to your homeland. The tragic sounds echoed in the world of rules, making people more and more heart-wrenching and uncomfortable. Lin Moyu endured the discomfort and depression and flew towards the other direction. After crossing the height in front of me, I saw an even more shocking picture. Mountains, countless mountains, hundreds of millions of mountains, form an ocean purely composed of mountains and forests. The warship passed through the mountains and forests. The mountains and forests seemed to be endless. Their vastness exceeded hundreds of millions of miles and was comparable to the galaxy. This is the world of supreme rules. Lin Moyu sighed, his face not pretty. The holy world of rules cannot be so big. Only the world of supreme rules can reach such a scale. As for whether there will be a world of Tianzuan's rules, Lin Moyu thinks it is unlikely. This world of rules has lost its vitality and is obviously left behind after the war. Although there were battles between Tianzuan in ancient times, I have never heard of Tianzuan dying in battle. Lin Moyu can only pray that this is the world of the Supreme Ruler, not the Heavenly Lord, otherwise it will be even more troublesome. The battleship flew for a while without flying to the side. Lin Moyu tried to release the skeleton god general to explore this world of rules, just like exploring a secret realm. The skeleton god will fly in all directions and send back the message soon. The skeleton god general discovered something unusual. Lin Moyu rushed there immediately, but he found helplessly that his space loft failed again. In the world of rules, all rules are made by the master of the world of rules. In addition, my grasp of the laws of space is not strong, so it is normal for it to fail. Lin Moyu came to the place where the anomaly was discovered, and he saw a tombstone. There are words engraved on the tombstones. My name is Yuan Hao, the human god. I fell into this situation by accident. I have found no way out and cannot leave. It is impossible to practice in this realm. There will be a siphon event every 10 years, siphoning the longevity of the flesh and blood realm. I am not willing to practice for thousands of years to become someone else's wedding dress, so I will die here. This monument is erected to warn future generations. If you can find a way to leave, please help me bring the body back and scatter it in the human star field. Lin Moyu couldn't help but sigh after reading the stone tablet. He didn't expect it to be the tombstone of a human god. Through the tombstone records, he could roughly deduce the entire process. God Yuan Hao went outside the territory to explore, but ended up here by mistake. He didn't know that he was entering a world of rules, and he couldn't find a way out no matter how hard he searched. Moreover, a siphon phenomenon will occur here in the 10th year, and flesh, blood, strength, and longevity will all be sucked away. He believes that someone is absorbing and devouring him. If it happens too many times, he may lose the status of the god, and he may not even be able to maintain his realm, and eventually become the god king, the true god, until he dies. For those who have cultivated to the level of gods, it is naturally unacceptable. So he chose to commit suicide when he had no choice but to leave a stone monument. The stone tablet is both a reminder and the last glimmer of hope. I hope that one day, someone can take his bones back. After all, he is a god, and his bones will not be damaged even after 100,000 years. But Lin Moyu looked over and saw that there were no bones here. There are no living creatures in the surrounding forest, and no wild beasts will come to eat his bones. If there was a beast, he would surely have been mentioned in the stele. There is no beast. Lin Moyu's eyes showed a hint of relief. Please give me flowers. This shouldn't be Tianzuan's world of rules. The reason for making this judgment is that Tianzuan can already create living beings. Although it is not said that something is created out of nothing, it can at least be fused to create a new species of creature. Therefore, Lin Moyu is 90% sure that there must be strong vitality in the world of Tianzuan's rules. Strong vitality will give birth to all kinds of weak creatures, and it is only right for beasts and the like to appear. It was not the world of Tianzuan's rules. Lin Moyu was slightly relieved. He stretched out his hand to grab it, and the mud and rocks flew away. There is nothing under the stone tablet, no bones. The bones are gone. The bones of the deity cannot disappear out of thin air. Even after millions of years, there will still be traces. Now that the bones are gone, we can only say that the siphon recorded in the stone tablet did not even let go of the corpse, and sucked it until not even the residue was left. Siphon, what on earth is it? Lin Moyu was thinking in his heart when the skeleton god general sent another message and made a new discovery. Lin Moyu rushed over immediately, and what he found this time was relatively large, a house made of trees. There are more than a dozen houses, showing traces of life. Judging from the appearance of the houses, it is not just the human race that lives here, but also other races. But now, everyone here is gone. Lin Moyu searched one room after another, and finally made a new discovery in a room. There are a lot of words written on the wood in this room, which are human words. This time the text is more detailed and has accurate time records. The person who wrote the text is called Du Zhengran, a human god, and his cultivation has reached the 7th level of god. About 2,000 years ago, he entered this place by mistake and could not leave despite all his efforts. Just in the 3rd year after he entered, the siphon appeared and part of his realm was sucked away. Because he is a high-level god, his feelings are even more obvious. Shu Yuan was sucked away for almost 100 years, and his realm fell to a certain extent. Shu Yuan, a 7th-level deity, lasted for more than 5,000 years, and he was already over 2,000 years old at that time. In other words, as long as he is siphoned 30 times, he will die here. Later, I discovered that all 30 siphons were optimistic. As the number of siphons increased, his realm continued to fall, and his longevity was also declining. He could survive at most a dozen siphons, which was more than 100 years. In these more than 100 years, he met some gods who entered this place by mistake. There are humans and aliens. They all died of siphoning one by one, and he finally committed suicide when he was about to fall to the gods. Lin Moyu felt a little creepy when he read Du Zhengran's records. His words were full of despair. He was the last of these people to die. Everyone before him either died from siphoning or died of suicide due to being unable to bear it. Those who can come here are all gods. No matter which race they are, no one can accept the fate of falling into a state of decline and becoming a useless person. Lin Moyu checked some other residences and houses, but did not leave records like Du Zhengran. But there are some traces of life. It can be seen that the people here were full of despair at that time. What surprised Lin Moyu the most was that during the decades here, these deities from all ethnic groups did not fight, but lived together peacefully. This is very abnormal, especially between feuding races like humans and demons, who will not coexist peacefully for anything. Even if they are facing the same danger of life and death, they will first separate their lives when they meet. Could it be that if we start here, there will be any 070 restrictions? Lin Moyu's heart moved and he thought of a possibility. With a thought in his mind, he asked the skeleton god general to attack the mountain forest. The attack is not strong, less than 1% of the skeleton god general's full strength. A large tree that was 100 meters high and 10 meters thick was split into two by the sword energy and fell with a roar. Any mountain here can't be reached to the top, and its breadth is hard to estimate. The mountains are high and the trees are big. In the mountains and forests, a tree that is 100 meters high and 10 meters thick can only be regarded as a small sample. Here, there are many sky trees hundreds of meters thick and reaching the top. Along with the roar, the big tree fell down, and there was no movement after that. Lin Moyu looked at the wooden houses, which were also made of big trees. They probably didn't encounter anything at that time. Is it really possible to coexist peacefully? Lin Moyu naturally would not believe such nonsense and issued the order again. The skeleton god general used half of his power to strike a more powerful blow. A huge sword energy blasted out, hitting the king of the mountain and forest. A huge hole was blown into the mountain, and countless big trees were blown away. Although this wound is nothing to the entire mountain, it is even more insignificant to the entire mountain range. But in Lin Moyu's view, the movement was so violent that even the ground he was standing on was shaking. After a while, the earthquake stopped, and nothing happened except the big crater on the mountain in front of us. Did you guess wrong? If you can do whatever you want here, it's impossible to coexist peacefully. Lin Moyu still didn't believe it, and he issued a new order again. The two skeleton god generals suddenly fought each other and attacked each other. This time they still used half of their strength, and this level of attack would not really kill the opponent. Just as they took action, the rules world finally responded. There was a roar in the sky, and then two unimaginable huge forces fell, landing on the two skeleton generals with incomparable accuracy. The two skeleton god generals were pinned to the ground on the spot, unable to resist and unable to even stand up. Lin Moyu understood that in this world of rules, you can attack the mountain, but you cannot attack other creatures. Lin Moyu tried several times and asked the skeleton god general to attack the mountain with all his strength. The mountain was immediately riddled with holes, and countless giant trees were destroyed, but there was still no punishment. Only the two skeleton generals who had taken action earlier were still pressed to the ground, unable to move. After figuring out the rules, Lin Moyu was even more surprised. Why is this happening? There must be a reason for such a rule. Lin Moyu knows that everything has a cause and effect. If you want to leave here, you must find the cause and effect. But based on the information currently known, it is difficult to find the correct cause and effect. For countless years, there must be many people entering this world of rules, but no one has ever escaped, at least not from the human race. If there is, there will definitely be corresponding records in the Human Emperor Network. Those who died here should have left some messages in despair. This information may be helpful to you. Siphon occurs once every 10 years, and I don't know how long it will be until the next siphon occurs. Lin Moyu didn't know if he could block the siphon. After all, this was the world of supreme rules, and he wasn't sure. So what if the siphon can be blocked, various laws cannot be sensed here, and cultivation cannot be carried out? Eventually, one will die of old age here, it is just a matter of time. Besides, he doesn't have much time to waste here. If it takes more than 1,000 years, it will be too late for him to go out. Gotta find a way out as soon as possible. Lin Moyu asked more skeleton god generals to be sent to explore. This world is really too big. It has been half a day since he came in, and the skeleton god generals have only explored the tip of the iceberg. Lin Moyu was furious and sent out all 500 million skeleton god generals to explore in all directions. The topographic map of the world of rules was gradually discovered, and finally new discoveries were made. The skeleton god general discovered the ark while flying, and Lin Moyu guessed that this rule world was a huge ball. The rules of spherical shape are normal, but this ball is a bit too big, bigger than the galaxy. It is impossible to calculate the diameter. The skeleton gods will be scattered here and there, flying crisscross to avoid missing any trace. Finally, a new discovery was made, and Lin Moyu rushed over immediately. It was a huge stone monument. The stone tablet is 10,000 meters long and square, and is made of stones from the mountains of the regular world. There are a large number of characters engraved on the stone tablets, including various characters from various ethnic groups. Lin Moyu has studied the languages of various ethnic groups and can understand most of them. Lin Moyu looked at the stone tablet and found that it recorded what happened to the gods of various tribes after they came here. It contained some experiences of the gods of various races, and they also explored it. Although they failed to leave successfully in the end, they made some discoveries. They recorded their findings and left them to future generations in the hope that someone could leave this place. It's a pity that until the last 500 years, no one succeeded. The last record was just 500 years ago, also left by a human god. From the stone tablet, Lin Moyu felt despair again. There is unwillingness and hatred in the despair, which are the resentments left by the gods. For every god who could not leave in the end, their existence can be found only in words, but they have no bones left. You will fight 100 battles and die without regrets, but your soul will never rest in peace. A series of tragic sighs rippled through the rules world, and Lin Moyu frowned, feeling very uncomfortable. It's not really a physical discomfort, but an emotion. Affected by the tragic voice, his mood fluctuated violently. This kind of violent fluctuation will affect his calm thinking and make him despair. 2.2 Those gods who will eventually choose to commit suicide are probably also affected by this voice. Lin Moyu felt that the voice was a little stronger than when he came in. It was not that it was heavier, but that the emotions in it were stronger and seemed to be about to explode at any time. Lin Moyu suppressed his inner discomfort, carefully read the contents on the stone tablet, and tried his best to think calmly. It can be seen from the stone tablet that fighting is not allowed here. Anyone who fights will be punished. So here, no matter how deep your hatred is, you can only let it go. Other than the once-a-decade siphon, no other dangers have been identified so far. Just because the gods didn't find a way out, it doesn't mean there is no way out. Lin Moyu thought about it and glanced at the sky without comment. At some point, a crescent moon appeared in the sky. The blue crescent moon looked a bit strange. Lin Moyu was very sure that when he came to the world of rules, there was no moon in the sky. His memory is unmistakable. Now that the moon appears, does it mean something? He tried to make the skeleton god fly toward the moon, but he couldn't get close at all. The skeleton general was blocked when he was still far away. The laws of space cannot be used here, and Lin Moyu cannot teleport to the moon. You will fight 100 battles and die without regrets, but your soul will never rest in peace when you return to the old land. After the moon appears, the voice in the rules becomes more tragic and makes people feel desperate. What the hell? Lin Moyu tried hard to keep his inner peace and throw away all the thoughts he shouldn't have. This voice directly rings in the soul and penetrates directly into the soul world. It is impossible not to hear it. The rules set by the Supreme are not so easy to avoid. The skeleton god will continue to explore, and gradually, new discoveries will be made everywhere. This world is so big that if an ordinary god enters this place, he may not be able to meet anyone else for decades or even hundreds of years. It is impossible for everyone to discover the 10,000-meter stone tablet and record the information. Lin Moyu looked around and found nothing but despair. None of the gods could provide any useful information. It was not until 10 days later that the 500 million skeleton gods finally explored the entire world. The entire rule world is indeed a sphere, just like an ordinary planet, only larger than a galaxy. Other than that, nothing else was discovered. Lin Moyu has tried every means and searched every corner of the rules world, but to no avail. Even Lin Moyu felt desperate at this time. In 10 days, the world of rules is not without changes. The repeated sounds became more tragic and the atmosphere of despair became stronger. The feeling of being pulled made even Lin Moyu feel extremely uncomfortable. Even he is like this. You can imagine how desperate other gods must be. In this kind of mood, it is normal to finally choose to commit suicide. In addition, the blue moon in the sky also changed from a fragrant moon to a semicircle. In about half a month, it will turn into a real full moon. Lin Moyu searched all the records to find out what happened to Lan Yu. When the blue moon becomes completely full, siphoning will occur. What a blessing! Lin Moyu laughed to himself. I didn't expect that I would encounter siphon within a month of entering. Lin Moyu was not afraid, but rather interested in seeing what siphon was. If you can't find a way out, you might be able to start with siphon and see if there will be any changes in this world. Skeleton god generals are already densely populated in every corner of the regular world. As long as the world changes, they will be discovered. At the same time, Lin Moyu also thought of a backup plan. If he still couldn't get out after siphoning, he would use this backup plan. Lin Moyu was not idle for half a month. If he couldn't practice, he would learn runes. The way of runes is vast and profound. Lin Moyu knows that he is just a beginner now and there is still a lot to learn. Only by laying a good foundation and achieving success in the future and mastering the power of rules can we truly draw ancient talismans. Only then can we consider entering the palace. Fighting 100 times and dying without regrets, it's hard to hear that the soul returns to its old state. Half a month passed by in a flash, and the tragic sound reached its peak. An aura of despair enveloped the entire rule world. Lin Moyu ended his rune study and looked to the sky. The blue moon in the sky has been completely round, and is now emitting a coquettish blue light, shrouding the earth. In the blue light, Lin Moyu felt a chill, and the temperature of the entire rule world was dropping sharply. At some point, the mountains and dense forests were covered with frost, and the green world was covered with a layer of ice white. Coming soon. Lin Moyu knew that the siphon was coming. Everything that is happening now has been recorded by previous generations and is exactly the same. The blue moon reaches its peak, and then it blooms like flowers, and the drama is set to unfold. The blue light formed a vortex and began to absorb everything in the world of rules. The frost flew up and was quickly sucked away as the blue vortex swirled. Countless rays of light were also pulled and flew toward the blue vortex. The surrounding colors are quickly becoming darker and darker. At this moment, the blue light is like a black hole, not even letting out light. Outside the blue vortex, a circle of rainbow appeared, which looked eerie and beautiful. Lin Moyu felt an invisible force falling on him, as if he was trying to pull part of his soul out. At the same time, the laws in the body are ready to move, as if they are about to leave the body. The purple gold body automatically activated and the situation stabilized immediately. The purple gold body shines brightly, and the energy and blood roar like a dragon, constantly resisting the suction force. Lin Moyu carefully understood the power of suction, absorbing souls, plundering laws, and shaking the original foundation. Under the siphon, ordinary gods cannot resist it. If you want to resist siphoning, you must at least have a soul at the saint level, and you must also have a strong body. The purple gold body is said to be flawless, so it can block siphons. Lin Moyu remained unmoved in the face of the siphon and was not affected by anything. After confirming that siphon has no effect on him, Lin Moyu has begun to study siphon. Under the siphon, the entire world of rules is undergoing tremendous changes. Countless mountains were shaking at the same time, and a lot of energy was flying out of the mountains towards the blue vortex. Lin Moyu suddenly understood that the woods and mountains absorb energy in normal times, and then send this energy to the blue vortex when the siphon occurs. The reason why he is so sure is that Lin Moyu discovered that the energy that was sucked away contained the power of the skeleton god general. The power that hit the mountain did not disappear, but was transformed and absorbed, and is now given to the blue vortex. No wonder there are no bones left of those gods. Lin Moyu finally understood that the reason why the bones of the gods were gone was because their bones were also digested. The bones of the deity also contain 660 majestic energy, and can even be used to refine weapons and elixirs, so naturally they will not be let go. The next second, Lin Moyu's pupils suddenly narrowed. He vaguely saw figures, countless figures, in the blue vortex. The figures stood in the whirlpool and shouted in unison. You will fight 100 battles and die without regrets, but your soul will never rest in peace when you return to the old land. Lin Moyu realized that they were ancient human cultivators, warriors from ancient times, and heroes of that era. They died in battle, and their souls returned here, leaving their remnant souls to absorb endless energy, hoping that one day they could return to the battlefield. Even if he dies, his will to fight is still there, his soul is still alive, and he will fight to the death. This is the Tomb of Heroes. Lin Moyu was in awe, as the backup plan he originally prepared was difficult to use. He originally wanted to use the world-burning fire to try to refine the entire world. But now, how can he practice? Unless he really couldn't leave, how could he possibly refine this world? This is the resting place of countless heroes, the grave of their souls. As long as there is another way to go, I will not harm these heroes. Lin Moyu made a bold decision. The soul world emerged, and the world tree stretched out a branch. The branches extend infinitely, reaching towards the blue vortex with Lin Moyu's will. The invisible barrier in the air did not stop World Tree. Where the skeleton god general could not fly, World Tree easily reached over. Finally, the branches of the world touched the blue vortex. The branches of the World Tree, carrying Lin Moyu's consciousness, come into contact with the blue vortex. With a buzzing sound, Lin Moyu's soul world shook violently, and countless streams of consciousness passed along the World Tree. I still want to fight. I can still fight. So what if my power is exhausted? I can still self-destruct and burn my remaining soul. Holy Mia understands. I, the soul of the human race, will never give up, never. Countless consciousnesses are shouting in Lin Moyu's soul world, full of lamentation, anger, helplessness, and unwillingness. Thousands of emotions are intertwined, arousing Lin Moyu's emotions and touching his soul. Lin Moyu guarded his mind tightly, strengthened his Taoist heart, and eliminated these emotions. He cannot accept these emotions, and if he accepts them all, he will go crazy. The emotions in his consciousness are almost crazy and have become obsessions. Any one of them can drive the God Lord crazy, which is extremely terrifying. Fortunately, Lin Moyu had the experience of receiving the inheritance of Tianzuan several times, and his firm will far surpass that of the Holy Lord. Finally a voice sounded, the descendants of the human race. The mood of this voice is relatively stable, but it appears extremely abrupt among countless streams of consciousness. His voice towered over other consciousnesses, and Lin Moyu felt his presence. With the help of the World Tree, he saw the owner of the voice. A middle-aged man wearing a battle armor, tall, holding a huge warhammer, was looking at his house with bright eyes. At the same time, a majestic figure also appeared in the blue vortex, looking down on the world like the master of this world. Lin Moyu realized the identity of the other party and said with some respect, "Junior Lin Moyu, I have met Senior. My name is Baijian, the supreme human race." The stalwart figure made a majestic sound, explaining his identity. His name is the Supreme of 100 Wars, the Supreme of the human race. Lin Moyu, I have met the Supreme One of 100 Wars. This junior has mistakenly entered your world of rules. Please allow the Supreme One to let you go. The Supreme Lord of 100 Wars looked at Lin Moyu with a look down on him. As a god, what qualifications do you have to negotiate terms with me? Lin Moyu was stunned for a moment. This 100 Battles Supreme seemed to be a little different from the Supremes he had come into contact with. The human race Supremes he has accepted all value and care for the younger generations of the human race. But this 100 Battles Supreme doesn't seem to be like this. When I thought about it, there were not a few human gods who died in the world of rules. Obviously, this 100 Battles Supreme was not that easy to talk to. The Supreme Lord of 100 Wars said in a low voice, "Since the war started, all of you gods have no thought of practicing or guarding your homeland. You only know how to run away. What's the use of staying? You are fleeing to the outside world. You would rather die outside the territory than dare to fight against the enemy. What qualifications do you have to survive?" Lin Moyu was stunned for a moment, listening to the words of the 100 Battles Supreme. It seems that many gods fled outside the territory back then. Do those gods think that the human race is finished? In ancient times, there were as many gods as dogs, and they were many times more numerous than they are now. It is not impossible that among so many gods, there are some who are timid and afraid of getting into trouble. It is obviously normal for them to choose to flee when life and death are at stake. Lin Moyu's mind turned and he realized something. "Senior, don't you know what happened next?" The Supreme Lord of 100 Wars said solemnly, "What happened next? I had already died in the battle, and finally gathered the remaining souls of my old troops and went outside the territory to hunt down those cowardly people. Seeing that you are still here, I know that we will definitely win in the future. The human race will win, and those who fled outside the territory must die." Lin Moyu finally understood that the 100 Battles Supreme had fallen into his own obsession. He was very brave, including his men, who would not take a step back until they died in battle. People like him hate cowards who run away the most. Normally, when the war begins, the human god should practice hard to become the other side as soon as possible, become a saint, and enter the battlefield. But some human gods escaped. He hated these fleeing gods. After he died in the battle, he used his own world of rules to collect the remaining souls of himself and his subordinates, and went into the outside world to hunt down those gods. This idea became his obsession, so much so that none of the gods who came out. The memory of the 100 Battles Supreme actually only stayed at that moment, and he had no idea what happened next. Lin Moyu said, "Senior, it seems you don't know what happened next." The 100 Battles Supreme looked at Lin Moyu. He moved, and with the help of the World Tree, he entered Lin Moyu's soul world. He glanced over, the realm of the gods, the soul of the saints, the prototype of the world of rules. You are the top heavenly group of the human race. People like you won't run away. You are qualified to talk to me. His tone had changed somewhat, although he was still aloof and majestic. But he recognized Lin Moyu's identity and was qualified to talk to him. After all, he is a top genius, and he will be treated differently no matter where he goes. Even the Supreme will have a completely different attitude when seeing such a top genius. Lin Moyu breathed a sigh of relief. Fortunately, the obsession left behind by the Supreme Master still kept this memory. Obsession is often chaotic. In the end, Lin Moyu encountered the irrational Supreme Obsession, which is called horror. There is no room for change on both sides. Lin Moyu said, "I want to tell you that our human race did not win, but we did not lose either." The Supreme One's breath beat several times, and he stared at Lin Moyu with big eyes. Lin Moyu continued, "The Black Blood Realm is missing, the Great World has been damaged, and the Heavenly Lords have all left the Great World." Impossible! The 100 Battles Supreme roared, and the sound shook the entire soul world. A ball of earth-yellow light emerged from Lin Moyu's soul, and the soul gem of the natural disaster scepter shone, blocking the roar of the 100 Battles Supreme. If it were any other god, his soul would have been driven to pieces by this roar. Obsession is obsession, and you will go crazy at any time. Lin Moyu was still frightened, but he still said, "Senior, there is no need to be so angry. Although the Heavenly Lords are gone, the world has not been destroyed after all, and our human race has survived." The 100 Battles Supreme roared, "The Heavenly Lords are all gone. It turns out that the Heavenly Lords are also cowards, and the Heavenly Lords will also run away." Then he said angrily to Lin Moyu, "Why don't you leave? With a genius like you, why wouldn't Tianzuan take you away? Good for Li." Lin Moyu said, "The war experienced by our predecessors was already 2 million years ago." At this time, the 100 Battles Supreme was stunned. His memory always stayed at the moment when he died in battle, and he had no idea that so much time had passed. He murmured, "How long time has passed?" He did not doubt Lin Moyu's words. As a supreme being, he could know it just by sensing it a little. Lin Moyu suspected that after his death he transformed into obsession and was always in a deep sleep state. "It wasn't until just now that I was awakened by myself." Lin Moyu said, "Over the years, our human race has also encountered some disasters, but fortunately we have survived them all. I just want to tell Senior that the gods are very precious to the human race now. Over the years, many human gods have died here. Senior, please don't kill Son again." Baijian Supreme closed his eyes and said nothing, seeming to be thinking about Lin Moyu's words. Lin Moyu continued to ask, "Senior, do you know the Red Star Supreme?" Baijian Supreme's eyes shone brightly. "Brother Red Star, how is he? Did he also die in the battle? This guy, like me, will fight to the death." Sure enough, the two knew each other. And judging from the appearance of Baijian Jizuan, his relationship with Red Star seems to be pretty good. Lin Moyu said, "The Red Star Supreme did not die in the battle, but was seriously injured and retreated outside the territory to recuperate. Junior just met Senior Hongxing not long ago. If Senior wants to find Senior Hongxing, Junior can give Senior directions. The 100 Battles Supreme looked at Lin Moyu, and after a moment he said, "Okay, I believe your words and tell me the location of the Red Star Brothers." Lin Moyu unfolded the star map and told the 100 Battles Supreme about the location of the Red Star Supreme. Baijian Deathlord whispered, "I will let you go, and I will also promise you that you will no longer kill the clan gods. If you dare to lie to me, I will come to find you." As he spoke, he pointed his finger, and a point of light flew out and landed on the Soul World King. "This is my mark. If you dare to erase the mark, I will sense it and kill you immediately. If you dare to lie to me, I will also come and kill you through the mark." After saying that, the 100 Battles Supreme returned to the blue vortex. The blue moonlight enveloped the sky and the earth, and Lin Moyu's vision became blurry. When it became clear again, Lin Moyu found that he had returned to the starry sky of reality. Starlight shot from the distance, and various laws returned at the same time. 49. He had left the world of rules of the 100 Battles Supreme. You can vaguely see a little light flying towards the distance, which is the rule world of the Supreme One. Baijian Jizuan seemed to believe his own words, but he did not completely believe his own words. After all, he is just a little god, and the 100 Battles Supreme is more willing to believe the words of the Red Star Supreme. So he went to find the Red Star Supreme and wanted to get the answer from the Red Star Supreme. Lin Moyu exhaled. At least in the future, he will never accidentally kill the clan god again. These gods who died in the world of 100 Wars Supreme Rules can only say that they are unlucky. No one will avenge them. Whoever dares to seek revenge from the Supreme Lord, even if it is just an obsession, is stronger than the Holy Lord. All Lin Moyu can do is to take this matter back, tell the Human Emperor Network, and let all the human gods know about it. Fortunately, he didn't need to use Burning World's destruction. He didn't know very well whether the world burning fire was useful or not. With the character of Baijian Zongzong, once the obsession goes crazy, I really don't know what will happen. It's probably normal to die together, but I can't bear it. Lin Moyu breathed a sigh of relief, took out the battleship again, and flew towards the territory. After passing through the world of rules, bed, his direction deflected again, and his original route changed. Lin Moyu looked at the star map and said, "Fortunately, it's not too far away from the domain. If you come here, you'll be fine. Let's go back along this road. If everything goes well, we can return to the territory in 20 days and enter the territory of the Hansui tribe. Walking around the Hansui tribe, I'll settle the accounts from 100,000 years ago." Looking at the entire world, the human race can be said to be the enemy of the entire world. There is no need to calculate what was right and wrong millions of years ago. Maybe for each race, it was the human race who was wrong. But for the human race, it is the other races that are wrong. As a human being, Lin Moyu naturally sides with the human race. He wants to cut off the cause and effect for the world, save himself, and save his relatives and friends. As for right and wrong, it no longer matters. In this cruel world, big fists are the last word, and fists are justice. He continued to study runes, trying to improve his mastery and understanding of them as much as possible. Starlight refining is still going on, and as it gets closer to the world in the domain, the efficiency of starlight refining is also increasing. The world has been peaceful in the past year. The alliance between the various ethnic groups has been formed, but the internal details are still being negotiated. There are more than 200 races, large and small, and there are many things that need to be discussed. Although everyone knows it well, it will ultimately be dominated by a few powerful clans. Old powerful clans such as the Demon Clan and the Golden Eagle Clan must have a high say. Surprisingly, the new member Bull Demon Clan also showed a strong area of strength. There are 2 Holy Lords and 6 Bygones among the Bull Demon Clan. Its strength is second only to the 2 established powerful clans. If the population could be larger, the Demon Clan could also be called a Xing Clan. For so many years, the bull demon tribe has been in a neutral stage, and it has never participated in a war against the human race even 100,000 years ago. All races thought that the bull demon tribe would remain neutral this time. But for some unknown reason, the demon clan still chose to take sides. In fact, this choice is easy to understand. There are many smart people from all ethnic groups. After analysis, we know the general reason. No matter which side wins, the alliance of hundreds of races and the human race will eventually attack the bull demon race. Even at the beginning of the war, both sides would destroy the bull demon clan. Because the existence of the bull demon clan is a factor of instability. If the alliance of 100 races and the human race lose both sides, the bull demon race will still have a chance to take advantage, so they will not give him this opportunity. He can't be a faggot, he must stand in line to survive. Between the human race and the 100 races alliance, he chose the 100 races alliance. After entering the alliance of hundreds of clans, the bull demon clan showed sufficient strength and gained a great say. There is a huge palace floating in the starry sky. In the palace, a huge round table was placed in the center. There were more than 100 representatives of various ethnic groups sitting around the round table. Their weakest, the peak god, has more than 20 people in the other shore realm, and there are 3 saints, who are from the demon clan, the golden eagle clan and the bull demon clan. The demon lord of the abyss sat on his own throne, his voice hoarse. The alliance has been completed, and next we will form a coalition. The coalition army is composed of people from all ethnic groups, and the number of troops is distributed according to the population. We must unite and obey the command. Only in this way can we have a chance to defeat the human race. The holy lord of the golden eagle tribe, the black gold saint, sat aside and whispered, "Of course we have to obey the command, just like it was 100,000 years ago. As long as we are united, the human race is nothing." After 100,000 years of recuperation, the human race has recovered somewhat, but it is not much stronger than it was 100,000 years ago. The key is, now that they don't have Xiao Zhantian, we have every chance to destroy them. The holy lord of the bull demon clan, the blood bull saint, chuckled and said, "It doesn't matter even if Xiao Zhantian is present this time. We, the demon clan, have ways to deal with it." But Lao Nyo heard that the human race has a top genius. If he meets him, he will be given to Lao Nyo. The flesh and blood of the top geniuses of the human race should be delicious. When he spoke, there was blood in his eyes, and many people were swept away by his gaze and avoided them. Many people present knew that the Blood Ox Holy Lord's biggest hobby was to eat living creatures, and eat them raw. I especially like to eat those geniuses, saying that the blood of geniuses tastes the most delicious. He eats food from most races, and never has any dietary restrictions. The Abyss Demon Lord smiled sinisterly and said, "Okay, I'll give it to the Blood Oxen Saint Lord when the time comes. But I also have a condition. Can I leave the heritage of the human race to you to solve?" The Blood Oxen Saint patted his chest. "It's nothing, he's just a half-step supreme, we're gone." Chapter 2104, I promise you the supreme position. In the ancestral land of the bull demon race, a bull demon god statue standing a kilometer tall is erected. In front of the bull demon god statue, the ox saint quietly stands. A pair of bull horns on his head shines brightly, with lightning roaring and thunder densely covering them. The ox saint bows to the bull demon god statue, his voice respectful, "My lord, have we really reached that time?" After he finishes speaking, everything falls silent around him. It takes a full 10 minutes before the bull demon god statue begins to glow, soul fluctuations emanate, and then the statue's eyes suddenly move. The statue's eyes become lifelike, looking towards the ox saint. "This world does not have much time left, we must act quickly. When the world is destroyed, the world's origin will appear. A wisp of my will is descending, according to the time of this world, it will fully arrive in 1,000 years. With my will, you must seize the world's origin. At that time, I will grant you the position of a supreme sovereign." The ox saint is immensely delighted, excitement shining in his eyes. "Thank you, my lord. May I ask if you could also help my brothers?" The aura of the statue changes dramatically. You dare to bargain with me at this time? The ox saint is startled, immediately prostrating on the ground, trembling. I dare not, I merely request, begging my lord. His tone is very sincere, somewhat humble. A saint, showing such humility, is quite unusual. The statue continues to glow, seemingly pleased with the ox saint's behavior. Rest assured, as long as we can obtain the world's origin, you and your brothers can all attain the position of supreme sovereign. After saying this, the glow of the statue begins to dim. However, faintly, a power is always descending, just very slowly. The ox saint kneels for a while before standing up again. He takes a deep look at the statue, then turns to leave. The moment he turns, his eyes become sharp, showing no hint of fear. Another star is refined, entering the soul, becoming a part of the soul world. At this moment, Lin Mou has condensed 68 stars, not far from 100. But this is just Lin Mou's first minor goal. His ambition does not stop at 100 stars, but aims to create countless more. The more stars condensed by the starlight refining method, the better it is for the formation of the rule world. Lin Mou leaves the warship, looking towards the starry sky ahead. He has entered the inner domain space, feeling the Coldwater race's territory already enveloped by a barrier. It's not a formation, but a barrier created by the demon race. Barrier after barrier covers the Coldwater race's star systems, which are connected together, forming a giant protective barrier over the demon race's domain. Inside the barrier, it is impossible to travel through deep space. The Coldwater race is a weaker race, similar to the Qinghe race, with their strongest being peak divine sovereigns. To Lin Mou, they pose no real threat. Lin Mou has already devised a plan, essentially the same as when dealing with the Qinghe race, to conquer one star system after another. Not sparing the Coldwater race, not a single soul shall be left alive. All resources of the star systems, especially the stars, will be taken for future use in the Grand Formation. With the experience of destroying the Qinghe race, Lin Mou knows how to execute this task even more perfectly. A formation disc appears in his hand. It's the locking space formation disc. Using the method of refining talismanic magic weapons, Lin Mou modifies the disc, making the formation more compact and easier to control. His aim is to adjust the coverage of the disc, to cover as much distance as he desires. This way, when he annihilates a star system, he won't alert another. Since the Coldwater race has employed the demon race's barrier, it indicates their allegiance to the demons. There is no need to hesitate in their annihilation. After half a day, the locking space formation disc is modified. Then, Lin Mou takes out a second disc, which blocks communication talismans, preventing messages from being sent out. Together, these discs allow Lin Mou to act without detection. Plus, with the demon race's barrier, he can easily trap and eliminate his targets. A day later, both discs are modified, turning ordinary discs into talismanic magic weapons. Lin Mou approaches the edge of the barrier, lightly touching it, feeling its resistance. He adjusts his aura to match the barrier, seamlessly integrating into it. Having done this before, he executes it effortlessly. Inside the barrier, the space feels distorted, but Lin Mou quickly adapts to the sealed space with his keen soul sensitivity. Flowers requested. Space laws flow through his body, and with a step, he moves rapidly through space. Initially, each step covers 100,000 kilometers, but soon reaches 1,000,000 kilometers and continues to increase. In half a minute, Lin Mou fully adapts to the starry space, regaining his peak speed. The seal poses no challenge to Lin Mou. Perhaps too confident in the demon race's barrier, the Coldwater race did not deploy troops at the border, not even patrols near the star systems. Arriving at the nearest star system, Lin Mou discovers this and reveals a cruel smile. This is perfect. Accounts from 100,000 years ago. It's time to settle. I heard the Coldwater race is rich in cold water, a great source for brewing tea, second only to Tao water. This time, the saints can have their fill. With the activation of the two discs, they operate according to Lin Mou's will, enveloping the star system. Who's there? Strong beings within the star system sense something amiss and roar as they fly out. 5 divine sovereigns, not worth mentioning. Lin Mou is unfazed, pointing his finger, and the skeleton hell appears. Skeleton hell covers the entire star system, with hellfire boiling and hellish spirits flying out. Damn it, who dares? Ah! Screams echo as the 5 divine sovereigns stand no chance against skeleton hell, devoured almost instantly. Then, the entire star system falls into disaster, but the planets remain intact, as do the stars. Lin Mou does not allow the hellish spirits to consume them. These are resources for the human race, to be taken away. The containment formation flies out, quickly packing up the star system. Lin Mou takes the discs and leaves for the next target. In less than half an hour, an entire star system of the Coldwater race vanishes from existence. The inhabitants are wiped out, even the planets disappear, leaving a void that feels eerily empty. Feeling the changes in skeleton hell, Lin Mou senses it's close to leveling up. Once the Coldwater race is eradicated, skeleton hell should be able to upgrade. By killing you all, this account will be settled. Lin Mou's gaze grows colder, his resolve to continue the slaughter unwavering.